The true story of Judas, the most hated man in history. Judas Iscariot, a name that has echoed through centuries, synonymous with betrayal and treachery. His actions led to the arrest and crucifixion of Jesus Christ, an event that reshaped history and the foundations of Christianity. Judas's name has since become synonymous with deceit. Yet who was this man, and why did he make such a fateful decision? Was it greed, frustration, or something deeper within his character that led him to betray his teacher and friend? Let's delve into the video of Judas Iscariot, exploring his background, motivations, and the dramatic consequences of his betrayal. In this exploration, we will unpack not only the ancient history of Judas, but also reflect on his legacy and how he's portrayed in modern culture. Are we too quick to label him as the villain, or is there more to this tale than meets the eye? Early life and background. Judas Iscariot is often thought of as the archetypal traitor, but his journey began like that of any of the other apostles. Born in the town of Kerioth in Judea, Judas was the only one of the 12 apostles who hailed from this region, while the rest were from Galilee. This geographical detail may have shaped his worldview, as Judea was a region under Roman control, known for its tension and the yearning for a Messiah who would deliver the Jews from oppression. Judas's upbringing in this politically charged environment could have influenced his actions later in life. Before joining Jesus, he was known as a man who handled the finances of the apostolic group, essentially acting as their treasurer. However, the Gospel of John suggests that Judas had a darker side, hinting at his greed and dishonesty, as he was known to steal from the group's funds. This small act of treachery foreshadowed the monumental betrayal that was to come. As a man who knew the value of money, Judas might have seen Jesus' growing popularity as both a divine mission and a financial opportunity. His position as the group's treasurer also meant he had access to resources that others might not have had, making his eventual betrayal even more significant. The betrayal. Judas's act of betrayal was, without a doubt, one of the most infamous in human history. For 30 pieces of silver, Judas agreed to hand over Jesus to the authorities, a price that seems unbelievably low when compared to the weight of the act. The 30 pieces of silver are believed to have been the price of a slave, reinforcing the degradation of Judas's decision. According to the Gospels, after the Last Supper, where Jesus cryptically alluded to the betrayal, Judas set his plan into motion. With a kiss, the universal symbol of affection, Judas identified Jesus to the soldiers in the Garden of Gethsemane, sealing his fate and Jesus's. But what led him to this moment? Was it simple greed, or did Judas feel that by handing over Jesus, he was somehow forcing the Messiah to act and rise against the Romans? Some scholars speculate that Judas's betrayal was motivated by political frustration. At the time, many Jews were hoping that the Messiah would overthrow the Roman government, and when Jesus did not fulfill this expectation, Judas may have decided to push Jesus into action. The exact reason is lost to history, but the impact was monumental, forever cementing Judas's name as a symbol of ultimate betrayal. Motivations behind the betrayal. The motivations behind Judas's betrayal have puzzled theologians, historians, and scholars for centuries. Was he motivated by simple greed? Was he trying to force Jesus' hand in fulfilling the prophesied Messiah role? Or was he acting under the influence of external forces like Satan? The Gospel of John states that Satan entered Judas, suggesting a supernatural influence in his decision. This idea of possession or external temptation raises intriguing questions about free will, destiny, and the nature of evil. Some biblical scholars suggest that Judas might have been a revolutionary at heart, eager for the overthrow of Roman rule. Jesus' teachings, which often emphasized love, forgiveness, and peace might have frustrated Judas, who likely envisioned a much more militant and confrontational Messiah. This frustration could have prompted him to betray Jesus, hoping that the imminent danger would force Jesus to fight back. Others believe that Judas was simply greedy. As the treasurer, Judas had access to the group's funds, and perhaps his greed grew as he saw Jesus's popularity rise. Still, another possibility is that Judas may have been disappointed with Jesus not taking the political or military lead that many of the Jews had expected of their Messiah. It is also worth considering the role of Judas in the broader Christian narrative. In Christian theology, Judas's actions were necessary for the fulfillment of Jesus's mission of sacrifice. Without his betrayal, the crucifixion and subsequently the resurrection would not have occurred, according to Christian doctrine. The aftermath and death of Judas. Judas's remorse after his betrayal is one of the most tragic parts of his story. According to the Gospel of Matthew, after Jesus was arrested and condemned, Judas regretted his decision and attempted to return the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests. In a moment of intense guilt, he declared, "I have sinned, for I have betrayed innocent blood." However, the religious leaders refused to take the money back, showing no sympathy for his remorse. Judas then threw the silver into the temple and went away, where he ultimately hanged himself. This act of despair has been interpreted as a final, tragic consequence of his betrayal, symbolizing the extent of his guilt. But the story doesn't end there. There are discrepancies in the accounts of his death. In the book of Acts, the death of Judas is described in a more graphic manner. Judas, it says, bought a field with the silver he received for betraying Jesus, but then fell headlong in the field, bursting open, and all his intestines spilled out. This version of his death is much more gruesome, and it has led to various interpretations about Judas's final moments. Some theologians have used this imagery to suggest that Judas's death was a literal and symbolic consequence of his betrayal. Regardless of the specifics, Judas's death represents the tragic and irreversible consequences of his actions. Judas in modern culture. Judas Iscariot's legacy extends far beyond the pages of the Bible. His story has been retold in countless forms, from art and literature to modern television and films. In contemporary portrayals, Judas is often seen through a lens of tragedy and psychological complexity. One such portrayal can be found in the popular series The Chosen, where actor Luke Dimion portrays Judas as a man torn by inner conflict and doubt. Dimion himself has said that Judas's story is heartbreaking and that the character's motivations were misunderstood. This perspective humanizes Judas, allowing viewers to see him as more than just a villain, but as a man struggling with his own demons and desires. In literature, Judas has been depicted as everything from a power-hungry traitor to a man of deep internal conflict. For example, in works like the Gospel of Judas, a Gnostic text that was discovered in the 1970s, Judas's betrayal is portrayed as part of a divine plan, casting him in a much more sympathetic light. While this view is not accepted by traditional Christianity, it serves as an example of how Judas's actions have been reinterpreted in modern narratives. The character of Judas has also made his way into musical theater, most famously in the rock opera Jesus Christ Superstar. Here, Judas is portrayed as a complex figure, one who genuinely believes he is doing the right thing, even if his actions lead to catastrophic results. This portrayal adds layers of nuance to the story of Judas, suggesting that perhaps he was not merely a villain, but a tragic figure caught in a web of fate and his own personal beliefs. And that's a wrap on the story of Judas Iscariot. If you found this video intriguing, don't forget to like and subscribe for more history, mysteries, and deep dives. Hit the bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next one.